Hi guys, welcome back to another GCSE maths video, and in this one we're going to go through week 4, forming and solving equations. If you haven't watched the previous video, I'd recommend watching that. So week 3, basic algebra, I would recommend watching that one first before you watch this one. Okay, as always, don't forget, if you do like these videos, don't forget to press the like button, hit the subscribe button as well, hit the bell button so that you get the notification for any new videos in future. You can find these resources either in my Google Classroom if you're part of my class. If you're not part of my class, you can find them in the link description below. So hopefully by the end of the lesson you guys will be able to solve equations, solve problems by forming equations, and changing the subject of the formula by rearranging. Let's start off with solving equations. So solving equations, this only applies when there is an equal sign. Yeah, so if you don't have the equal sign, then it's most likely to do with an expression, or if you're simplifying or anything like that. So if you have the equal sign in there, you know you're solving equations. And solve simply means they're just asking what the missing variable is. What I like to do is whatever you do to one side of the equal sign, you do to the other. I know other people do it differently. You know, totally depends how you think of it. But me personally, if I'm doubling one side, I'm going to double the other side. If I halve one side, I'm going to halve the other side, for example. Okay, and if I just stick to that, and I get it right every single time. So hopefully, if you guys can stick to that as well, you know, you should get it right every single time. So let's have a look at this first one. So solve 2x equal to 12. So obviously they're asking, what is this x? So obviously x is the unknown variable here. And we're trying to get an answer of x equal to something. That should be our end goal. Okay, so how to actually work that out? It's obviously in this example, obviously the answer is going to be 6. But to show how you get your answer, what I'm going to do is, underneath I'm going to write what I'm doing to both sides. Okay, so because I've got 2x, I need to halve that, or divide it by 2, to get 1x. And I'm going to have to do the same to this side as well. So whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. So I'm going to get 1x, which is what I want on that side, equal to 12 divided by 2 gives me 6. Okay, so I know it sounds a bit obvious, but you know, I do like to show what I'm doing to both sides. Yeah, especially when you get more complicated ones, which I'll show you in a minute. So let's try 1b. So we've got 3a minus 1 equal to 8. So we want our answer to look like a equal to something. So I just want a on its own on one side. So let's just keep the a on this side. Yeah, I know I've got 3a. Let's just keep that there. So let's get rid of the minus 1, because I don't like that being there. So to get rid of it, you always do the opposite of what it actually is. So if it's a minus 1 in this case, I have to plus 1 to that side. But if you plus 1 to this side, I'm going to have to plus 1 to this side as well. So on this side of the equal sign, I'll just have 3a, which I've not touched yet. The minus 1 is gone, it's disappeared, equal to 8 plus 1, which gives you 9 on that side. So now 3a equals 9. But I don't want 3a, I just want 1a. So you have to divide by 3. Remember, doing the opposite of what you've got. 'Cause in essence, what you've got here is actually 3 times a. So the opposite of multiply by 3 is divide by 3. You're left with 1a equal to 3. There's your answer. Yeah. Let's do the next one. 1c. So we've got 2 brackets 5p plus 3 equal to 26. So there's a couple of ways you could do this one. One way is you could get rid of the brackets, because obviously this 2 is multiplying that and it's multiplying that. You could do it this way. I'll do it over here. So 2 times 5p is 10p, plus 2 times 3 is 6. Yeah, still got 26 on the other side. So again, because it says solve, they want us to find out what p is. So I need p on its own. So let's keep that as it is. Let's leave that there. Let's get rid of the plus 6. So I'll have to minus 6 here. Minus 6 here as well. So 10p equals 20. And there's only one step left. Divide by 10 to both sides. I get p equals 2. Yep, there's my answer. Another way, let me just split the page. What you could have said is, because this 2 is multiplying all of this, you can just get rid of the 2. So obviously it's the opposite of multiply by 2 is divide by 2. So I could divide by 2 here. I'd have to divide by 2 on the other side as well. That leaves me with 5p plus 3, basically everything that was in the brackets. And on this side I'll get 13. Yeah, now again I'm just going to leave the 5p there for now. So let's get rid of the plus 3. I'm going to have to minus 3 to both sides. That gets me 5p equal to 10. And there's only one step left. Divide both sides by 5. Yeah, same answer. P equal to 2. So there was 2 methods of doing that. Whichever way you do it, it's absolutely fine. Makes no difference which way you do it, to be honest. You know, you're going to get the full marks if you get the right answer. Last one before I get you guys to practice then. So solve x over 3 equal to 5. So it's a bit of a tricky one, this one. But again, you know, just think of, how do I get rid of this 3 at the bottom here of the fraction? So literally what it is it means divide by 3, doesn't it? So the opposite of divide by 3 is multiply by 3. So that's going to get rid of the fraction. And obviously I'm going to have to do the same to the other side as well. And that gets me just x on its own, because that's not being touched. I'll show you in a minute why if you're not sure. And I'll get 5 times 3, which is 15, and I'll get my answer straight away. X equal to 15. If I rewrite that, just to show you guys what's actually going on, you know, if you had x over 3, what you're doing is multiplying by 3. Imagine, you know, like how you multiply 2 fractions together, and we can simplify this cancels with this, and what you're left with just is x over 1, or just x on its own. So as you can see, the x doesn't get affected at all. You know, the 3's just cancel each other out. So in essence, that's what you're doing. So to get rid of a fraction, all you do is just multiply by the denominator. Obviously you'll have to do it to the other side as well. That's how you get rid of fractions. So pause the video, have a go of the next ones yourself. When you're ready, unpause the video and we'll go through it. Right, let's go through the answers. So part A, solve 5a plus 3 equals 18. So I'm going to minus 3 to both sides first. That gives me 5a equals 15, and then divide both sides by 5. That gets me a equal to 3. That's that one done. Part B, you know what, I'm going to divide both sides by 4. If the bit in the brackets doesn't get affected, I'm left with, how many 4s go to 36? That's 9. Let's add 3 to both sides. I get 6p equal to 12. Last step. P equal to 2. Yeah, you could have done it differently. You could have expanded the brackets first and done it that way. You should get the same answer though. P equal to 2. Part C. Oh, bit of a tricky one, this one. We've got x's on both sides. So I would keep the x, I would keep the bigger x on this side. So on the right hand side you've got 8x. Let's keep that there. Let's get rid of the smaller x on the left hand side. So I'll have to minus 5x here, minus 5x here as well. That gives me 4 equal to 3x minus 5. Now let's plus 5 to both sides. That gets me 9 on this side, equal to 3x. And there's only one more step. Divide both sides by 3, so 3 equals x, or x equals 3 is the same thing. Yeah, the fact that the x is on this side makes no difference. You can switch it around. It's the same thing. 3 equals x, or x equals 3. It's the same thing. Next one. I'm going to multiply the brackets first, so that gives me 9x. 3 times minus 2 is minus 6. Still got this, still got this. Oh, again, I've got x's on both sides. I'm going to keep it on this side, on the left-hand side, I've got 9x. Let's get rid of it from the other side, so I'll have to take away 5x here and here. I get that. Let's get rid of the minus 6, don't like that being there. And there's only one more step. X equal to 4. You're done. Yep. Next one. Oh, it's one of those fraction ones. So what did we say? To get rid of the fraction, you'll have to multiply by the denominator. So let's multiply by 5 here. I'll have to multiply by 5 here as well. So it doesn't affect the numerator. That is still the same. On this side I get 20. There's only one more step. And you're done. Next one again. Oh, just be careful with this one. So to get rid of the fraction, obviously you're going to have to multiply that by 4. That gets rid of the fraction there. But when you multiply 4 on the other side, technically you'll have to multiply everything by 4. This and this. Because otherwise it wouldn't be balanced. You know, if you double one thing, you'd have to double everything. If you triple one thing, you'd have to triple everything. Similar sort of concept. So if you multiply one term by 4, you're going to have to multiply everything by 4. So just be careful with this one. You're going to get x plus 2 on that side equals 16x minus 28. Right. I've got x's on both sides. Let's keep it on the bigger side. So let's get rid of the smaller one. That gives me 2 equals 15x minus 28. Let's keep the 15x on this side. Let's get rid of the minus 28. I'll have to plus 28 to both sides. Oh, that gets me 30 equal to 15x. There's only one more step. 2 equals x, or x equals 2. It's the same thing. Yep. So it's a really good way of doing it. I know some people like to ping it to the other side and things like that. So whichever way you prefer is absolutely fine, as long as you get the right answer, obviously. And if you don't have a method, hopefully this made sense. If you stick to that rule, to get rid of the item, or to get rid of the term, sorry, you do exactly the opposite of what it actually is. Okay, let's move on to forming equations. So you can get a question in the exam where, you know, they give you a little problem and you can use algebra to work it out, even though it doesn't say use algebra to work it out. So let's have a look at this example. Pat and Shona have a combined salary of £800 per week. Pat earns £200 per week more than Shona. How much does Shona earn per week? Right, so you can probably guess what the answer is. You know, this is a very simplified example that I'm using, but obviously we don't want to guess in the exam. And a good way of doing this is if you say who's got the smallest amount. So in this example, if Shona has well, Pat earns £200 per week more than Shona, so Pat definitely earns more than Shona. So let's say that Shona, or Shona's salary, is equal to X. Yeah, that's the unknown value. So if Pat earns £200 more, Pat's salary is going to be X plus 200. Yeah, don't get mixed up with 200 times more. That's something different. Obviously that's multiplied by 200. This is £200 more, so it's added on top of what Shona earns. And what else are we told? We're told that the combined salary, so both of them together, both their salaries together, add up to £800. So that must be Shona's salary plus Pat's salary, which is all of that, must equal £800. Yeah, that's what we're told. Let's simplify this. So I've got 1x plus another x, that gives me 2x. Still got that. Still got that. Okay, let's try and solve this. So let's try and solve what x is. And let's keep the 2x there. Let's get rid of the 200. Obviously it's a plus 200, so I'll have to minus 200 to both sides. That gets me 2x equals 600. And now let's divide both sides by 2. So x equals 300. So what do we say x was? Well, we said that Shona's salary was x, so now that is £300. Let me just double check, what was it asking for? How much does Shona earn per week? Yeah, so answer is £300. So they could very easily have said, how much does Pat earn? So obviously, if it did ask that, you just substitute in the value here, and obviously you'll get 300 plus 200, which is £500. And you can check whether you've done it right as well. You know, 500 plus 300, that's going to give you the 800 that they were talking about. So yeah, it does make sense. So it's a really good way of figuring out how to do various problems, especially in the exam as well. You know, if you're not sure how to figure things out, especially if you have an unknown value or multiple unknown values, you know, you can very easily use algebra to work it out. So if you can pause the video and have a go of the next practice questions yourself, when you're ready, just unpause it. Okay, let's have a look at this then. So practice question 2a, sizes of the angles and degrees of the triangle are 2x plus 7, 2x, x plus 18. Right, use this information to write down an equation in terms of x. So, what do we know about angles in a triangle? We should know, hopefully should know, that angles in a triangle add up to 180. So this plus this plus this. Let's just write that down. So 2x plus x plus 18 plus 2x plus 7 should all equal 180. Yeah, you could have done that in any order, makes no difference, you just add them all together. Let's see how many x's we've got. So 2x plus x gives you 3x, plus another 2x gives you 5x. 18 plus 7 is 25. Yeah, and you can use what I did last week. You know, if you want to separate these into shapes, you know, you can use bubbles for the x's and rectangles for the number terms if you wish, you know, if it helps. I'm not going to do that today though. So you should have 5x plus 25 equal to 180. And in fact, that's your answer for part A done. They're not asking you to solve it yet. Let's just put that as our answer for part A. Then part B says, use your answer to part A to work out the value of x. So now we're trying to solve it. and we're trying to solve what x is. Let me just rewrite it here. Yep, let's leave that as it is. Let's leave the 5x there. Let's get rid of the plus 25, so I'll have to minus 25 both sides. What's that? 155. And I'll have to divide both sides by 5. That gives me, what's that? X equal to 31, is it? That should be right. Yep. X is equal to 31. There's my answer. Yep. How many marks was that altogether? It's 4 marks altogether. Let's move on. Apples cost A pence each. Bananas cost B pence each. Write down an expression for the total cost in pence of 3 apples and 5 bananas. So, and something to make a note of, you know, do be careful, or you should know the difference between an expression and an equation. So in the previous question they did say write an equation. So equations should have the equal sign, like in the previous question. Expressions do not have an equal sign. Okay, so we should have just the variables on its own. Okay, so we should have, in this case, so we've got 3 apples, so it's 3 of these, so that's 3A, and 5 bananas, so 5 of these. You can't simplify it, you can't do anything to that. That's your answer. Yeah, you can't physically add them together. You're gonna have to leave it like that, and that's your expression. Let's move on. Martin is X years old. Jennifer is 3 years younger than Martin. Connor is twice as old as Martin. Write an expression for Jennifer's age. Well, if Martin is X years old, Jennifer is 3 years younger than Martin, so that's X minus 3 for Jennifer's age. Yeah, so she's 3 years younger. Write an expression for Connor's age. So Connor is twice as old as Martin. Well, if Martin is X years old, twice that is 2x. Yeah, just be careful and don't put 2 times x as your answer, because that technically would be wrong. You have to put it as 2x. You can't have a multiply sign in your answer. And for part C, write an expression for the sum of all 3 ages. Well, that's just adding them up. Yes, sum means you add them all up. So x plus x minus 3 plus 2x. We'll have to simplify this. So 1x plus another x is 2x, plus another 2x gives you 4x, and we still got minus 3. And again, you're not going to have an equal sign for this. It's just going to be 2 terms in this case. Yeah, and just leave it like that. You can't simplify that anymore. That's your answer. Practice question 2D. Adam has some marbles. Bradley has twice as many marbles as Adam. That should say. As Adam. Chris has 5 more marbles than Bradley. In total, they have 55 marbles. How many marbles does Chris have? Right, so Bradley has twice as many. Chris has 5 more marbles than Bradley. Okay, so let's say that Adam has some marbles. So Adam, let's say he has X number of marbles. Bradley, twice as many, so that's going to be 2x. And Chris, 5 more marbles than Bradley. Well, Bradley had 2x, so 2x plus 5. In total, they have 55, so we're going to have to add them up again. So total is x plus 2x plus 2x plus 5, that's all of them, equals 55. Let's simplify this. 1x, that's another 3x, 5x altogether. Still got that. Equal to 55. Let's minus 5 to both sides. 5x equals 50. And let's divide both sides by 5. X equals 10. Is that my final answer? What do we say X was? So X was Adam. Just be careful. So it says, how many marbles does Chris have? So this is not our final answer. We have to work out what Chris had. So Chris was this one. So let's substitute in 10 for that, for X. So 2 times 10 plus 5. That's going to give me 25. So my answer is going to be 25. Let me just write my answer here. Yeah. Yeah. So always recheck which one is it asking for. Just don't be satisfied if you've just worked out X. You know, don't be satisfied with that. Always recheck which one was it asking for. They could very easily have said, how many marbles does Bradley have, or they could have said how many marbles does Adam have, and you know that would have been your answer as 10. But yeah, just always recheck which one they ask you. Otherwise, you'll lose marks for that. Okay. Next one. Lucy's 3 times as old as Alex. Lucy's 7 years older than Megan. Right. Sum of their ages is 126. Find the ratio of Alex's age to Lucy's age to Megan's age. Right, okay. So which one shall we call X? Usually I use the smallest one to call X, but I don't know which one is. I'll tell you what, let's say that Alex is X. Yeah, let's say Alex's age is X. Lucy's 3 times as old, so Lucy is going to be 3 times that. So that's 3x. And also Lucy's 7 years older than Megan. So Megan, if Lucy's 7 years older, Megan's going to be 7 years younger, isn't she? So she's going to be 7 years younger than Lucy. So let's say that's 3x minus 7. Yeah, that works, doesn't it? Sum of their ages is 126. So again, I'll have to add them up. Equals 126. Let's simplify this. That gives me 7x. Let's add 7 to both sides. What's that going to give me? 133. And now I'm going to have to do bus stop method, because divide both sides by 7. It's going to give me 19, isn't it? Yep, so x equals 19. Oh, it's not my final answer, because it's asking you have to write it as a ratio. So my answer I have to do it in the order that they say. So Alex's age to Lucy's age to Megan's age. Oh, I'm gonna have to work these out. So that gives me, obviously that's 19. That gives me 3 times 19. What's that? Let's work out the side. Assuming this is on the non-calculate paper, obviously you're gonna have to do it like this. 1 times 3 is 3, plus 2 is 5, 57. And that is 3 times 19 again. 3 times 19, well, we just worked that out. That was 57. Take away 7, that gives me 50. So it's going to be 19 to 57 to 50. Yeah, I can't simplify that because 19 is a prime number anyway. So yeah, that's your final answer. 19 to 57 to 50 should be your final answer. let's move on to the last section, which is changing subject of the formula. This is a bit weird, especially if you've never done it before, but it's the same rules as solving equations. Yeah, so you know, like how we were getting rid of various terms by doing the opposite of what it actually is, we're going to use the same method. Okay, that's why I've done these two topics together. So let's try the first one. Make P the subject of the formula m equal to 3n plus 2p. So what do they actually want you to do? They want you to make P the subject. So at the moment, m is the subject. M is equal to something. You have to rearrange it to make P equal to something. Okay, so that's our end goal. So we want P on its own equal to something. Okay, so let's get rid of the 3n. Don't want that 3n there. So let's keep the 2p there. I want to keep it on that side. Let's leave it there. Let's get rid of the 3n. So I'll have to minus 3n here, and I'll have to minus 3n on the other side as well of the equal sign. Okay, so what does that give us? So on this side, on the left hand side, I get m minus 3n. Yeah, you can't physically take them away, so you're gonna have to leave it like that. Yeah, that's the m term, and that's a that's the m term, and that's a n term. So they're two different terms. It's like apples and pears. And on this side, obviously 3n is cancelled. I'm just left with 2p on that side. I don't want 2p though, I just want 1p, so I'm going to have to divide it by 2, and I'm going to have to divide everything on this side by 2. So I get, let's do the right hand side first. I'll just get p on that side, which is what I want, and on this side is all of that over 2. Yeah, p equal to something, you're done. Yeah, and you could rewrite it if you wanted to. It's the same thing. Yeah, makes no difference which way round you write it. Yeah, so that's your answer. Let's do the next one. So make b the subject of the formula, right? Okay. So I'll have to get rid of the fraction. So again, I'm going to have to multiply that by 4. I'm going to have to multiply this side by 4 as well. So I'll get 4a equals, and remember, it just gets rid of the fraction. Numerator doesn't change. That stays the same. I need b on its own, so let's get rid of the 3. I don't like the 3 being there, so let's get rid of that on both sides. That leaves me with 4a take away 3. Again, I can't simplify that. Yeah, don't think of it as 4a take away 3a. You know, if it was 4a take away 3a, then yes, that would get me 1a. But it's not, it's just 4a take away 3. It's an a term take away a number term, which you can't take away. You're going to have to leave it like that. And on this side, you get 5b. Okay, and I don't want 5b. I just want 1b. So I get 4a minus 3 over 5 equal to b. Let's rewrite this. B equals all of that over 5, and you're done. Yeah. So it's a bit weird when you first do these, but you know, just stick to the rules of how you solve equations. You know, how do you get rid of terms? You do the opposite of what it actually is, and slowly you'll have rearranged it, and you'll have got your answer. So pause the video and have a go of the next ones yourself, and I'll go through the answers in a minute. Okay, let's go through these answers. So practice question 3a, make t the subject of the formula. So I'm going to need t on its own. So I'm going to have to, let's leave the 7t there as it is. Let's get rid of the plus 30. So I'm going to have to minus 30 here, minus 30 here. So on the left I get u minus 30. Again, you can't simplify that, you're gonna have to leave it like that. And on the right I get 70. Okay, and there's only one more step left. To get from 7t to 1t, I'm gonna have to divide both sides by 7. So I get t on this side, which is what we want, and it's all of this over 7. And again, don't try and solve it. You're not trying to, you're not trying to solve what u is or anything else. You're just trying to put t equal to something, whatever that something is. That's good enough. Yeah, and you can rewrite it if you wish. Don't have to, but if you do, that's absolutely fine. Well, let's move on. Make a the subject of the formula s equal to a over 4 plus 8u. Right, so we need a the subject. So I'm going to have to get rid of this fraction, definitely. So I'm going to have to multiply that by 4. But if I multiply that by 4, I'm going to have to multiply this by 4 and this by 4 as well. So basically everything gets multiplied by 4. So you get 4s on that side equal to a plus 4 times 8 is 32, and I've still got a u there. Okay, and there's only one more thing left to do. You just want a on its own, so we'll have to get rid of this 32u, so I'll have to minus 32u to both sides. Again, you can't simplify this anymore, it'll just be 4s minus 32u equal to a. Yeah, and there's your answer. If you want to rewrite it, a equals 4s minus 32u. Let's move on. Make t the subject of the formula. So you're going to have to, yeah, the t is trapped in there. So let's get rid of the brackets. So you'll get 2t minus 10. Yeah, that 2 is multiplying that and that. So we need t on its own. Let's get rid of this minus 10. Don't like that being there. So 2t equals y plus 10. And I'll have to divide both sides by 2. T equals all of that over 2. Yeah, and I know some people might have written it like that as well. That's absolutely fine. Both answers are perfectly fine. You don't have to. Me personally, I would just leave it like that. It's t equal to y over 10. Sorry, t equals to y plus 10 over 2. Just leave it like that. You don't need to go crazy and start doing other things. You don't need to do this over here. But if you did, it's absolutely fine. It's the same thing. So that's that one done. Next one. Oh, this looks a bit strange. I've seen this formula before. It looks familiar. I think it's in science. I think it's used for, is it velocity or something like that? I don't know. You guys who do science might know. So make u the subject of the formula. Right, so we need a u on its own. Okay. So let's get rid of this whole term, 2as. So I'll have to minus 2as to both sides. That gives me v squared minus 2as equals u squared. Okay, so now I don't want u squared, I just want u on its own. So the opposite of square is square root, so I'm going to have to square root this side and square root all of that. So I just get u on its own on that side, that's fine. And it's a square root of all of that. Let's just put it under square root symbol. And again, you don't need to do anything to that, just leave it like that. You don't need to go a step beyond, a step further than that. Just leave it like that. You're not trying to solve it or simplify even more. You can't simplify even more, to be honest. Just leave it like that. and you can rewrite it if you want the correct way. Don't have to, but if you did, that's the correct way of writing it. Yep, so a bit of a tricky one, that one. Just be careful. Just think, again, you know, to get rid of the square, you're gonna have to do the opposite, which is square root. I'm gonna call it a day, and obviously if you guys want to try the extension questions, give that a go, and I can go through the answers in part 2. So just keep an eye out for part 2, please, and just press the correct link, whichever one it is. It's a mixture of Edexcel and AQA style questions, so give that a go. Some tricky ones in there, but I will go through that in part 2. Okay, and I shall see you in the next one.